Are you a movie buff? Do you love dissecting and analyzing your favorite films? Look no further than the Projection Booth podcast. Join host Mike White and a bevy of guest experts as they explore the history, themes, and legacy of cult classics, obscure gems, and mainstream hits. Join us every week for a unique and engaging look at your favorite movies. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and tune in to the Projection Booth podcast, available on all major podcast platforms.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, creeps. It's me, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and you're listening to Chronicles from the Crypt.
Hello there, I'm Casualty Chris.
And this is Father Malone.
And we're the hosts of Chronicles from the Crypt, a twice-a-month look at the horror anthology series Tales from the Crypt that aired on HBO from 1989 to 1995. That's it, folks. Good night. After the last episode, it's not our fault that we're really not... we're not looking forward to these last couple episodes because unless something changes... The shit show is on the road, and it's all over the UK, just stinking up the place.
Yeah, man, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy where they didn't care, and now they've sort of deadened my enthusiasm for the show as well.
Yep. So on this episode, we're going to be talking about episodes 7 and 8 of season 7, The Kidnapper and Report from the Grave.
Are you blind? That ball was on the line, pal. Oh, hello, kiddies. I was just warming up for the Wimbledon tennis tournament. Normally I love a bit of stiff competition, but this guy is driving me nuts. Still, the match isn't over yet. We're playing Beast 2 out of 3. Which brings to mind the man in tonight's tale. He's about to play a little die breaker of his own in a sickening haxhibition I call Kidnapper.
So The Kidnapper aired June 7th, 1996. It is directed by James H. Spencer with Robin Baxter uncredited. It is written by John Harrison once again. And it stars, of all people, Steve fucking Coogan.
Yeah.
As a weird man who falls in love with a woman who doesn't love him back, so he has her baby kidnapped. Boy, isn't that Tales from the Crypt?
It's very, very. And speaking to that, of course, this is it's based on a shock suspense stories, Shock Suspense number 12, written by Bill Gaines and Al Feldstein, art by Reed Crandall. The story is similar. The twist is definitely the same twist in the comic, but what they did, what I thought was everything right in the comic, in that this is a newlywed couple in love. When they have the baby, she no longer cares about the husband at all, and but in the comic, he doesn't enact the kidnapping. It happens, and he's happy that it happened until he realizes his wife is losing her mind. At which point he tries to steal a baby for her and discovers that it's his baby, which is like a little more like layered and interesting to me, because I hadn't read the comic before I watched the episode, and while watching it, like the whole setup with him working at a pawn shop, and she's a homeless woman who's pregnant, and he needs a friend, and she's, she tells him straight out she's not going to fall in love with him, and they're only ever going to be friends. Like, that just felt like such a waste of time. I kept thinking, why didn't they just make this about a couple who are already married, and we go from there, and like not waste the entire first act and having them do this like anti-meet cute kind of thing. And as it turns out, that's exactly what they did in the comic. But clearly, not at this point, because this is probably written like 3 or 4 seasons ago. People weren't content to let a thing just be itself. They had to like graft a new plot line on top of it, whether it be warranted or not. And that's certainly the case here. I mean, I'm not going to complain about the acting in the episode. I thought Steve Coogan was good. I think with Julia Sawala, this is the second episode in a row with a absolutely fabulous cast member in it. And there's some stuff that I did like, actually. But overall, boy. Also, it's weird that it's called The Kidnapper by the Crypt Keeper, and all the reading material you can find on it's called The Kidnapper. But in the episode itself, the title is just Kidnapper. Thought that was a little weird. What about you?
It's also weird that they thought that this story was worth telling, because once again, I genuinely do not understand what in the actual fuck they were thinking adapting this of all stories.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there was stuff that could have been mined out of this.
Sure, but in more adept hands.
Mm-hmm. People who weren't just trying to knock out a 22-minute Yelp yarn. Like I said, the comic I thought was like a little more intellectually stimulating in that it's about, this sort of relationship thing that I'm sure does happen where, the husband becomes jealous of the child or vice versa, or I think that's a dynamic worth mining, but they weren't interested in that here, and they were just interested in a twist, which was already on the page, so I don't know. What can be said?
Well, and that's the thing about this episode that really I genuinely do not understand is it is all about the twist, and that's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else to this episode. All it is a twist about like we've said already, a man who is jealous of his not girlfriend and her baby that's not his. And so he schemes to have the child kidnapped and then readopted. And then he realizes, like you said, she goes crazy. Like, that's
Yeah. And
what the fuck?
Here's my question. The mimes, were they on the payroll of this organization that steals babies? Like, they were the distraction?
Yes, the answer is yes. The answer is a stupid yes.
It was
a
so
moronic yes.
Dumb. Like
it's almost like it was written by Scott Nimmerfro.
Yeah, but it wasn't this time.
I know. The injection of useless comedy seems to be a Scott Nimmerfroism.
Oh my god! And is this a tried and true method of distraction where mimes will start yelling at each other and then leave the view, thus tempting someone to come and yell at them that they're going to call the police? Like, it's just so unheard of. Like, I didn't know what this was the method. Like in the comic, they wake up in the morning and go check on the baby, and the baby's gone, and there's like a window open with the drapes blowing. Like that made sense. This is just like,
why was that not good enough?
Yeah.
Why was that not good enough?
I've got a thing about mimes that I've got in the trunk. I'll just pull that out and put it into this episode. I think mimes talking and yelling at each other is funny.
Yeah, and pretending to beat the shit out of each other. Like, what are you going for? What is the purpose of introducing, some levity to the situation? I mean, it's not an inherently funny episode.
No, and that's like the whole second act, right? It's like the theft of the child, and again, like, what a time waster. Like, if you wanted to do this episode, then you should do the episode. Do it about the father who, resents the child so much that he would want somebody to take it away. Like, that maybe, and then, he gets the shit kicked out of him at the end and, discovers the baby he's trying to steal is his own. That, to me, is a little bit interesting, or could have been. But they weren't interested in giving us that. They were just like, oh, we'll put this twist on with this character who's despicable from the get-go. And, give us a first act where we like this guy.
Yeah, that's the other weird thing. I mean, there's no reason to root for Steve Coogan's character. He's a creep from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, it's just desserts, I guess, in the fine EC tradition, but...
get it? It's unrequited love. It's unrequited love. Don't you get it? Like, don't you get it? Isn't that weird? Isn't that funny? Ha ha ha! He gets the shit beat out of him, and he dies at the end.
I have something like that. I mean, that shot where it's the sort of point of view shot, and they're like punching him, and then the screen like splatters with blood. Like, I thought that was a nice shot, but like that's.
But like, are we being actually led to believe that they're going to murder this man in the park?
I think that's the. I
think that's the those idea. People would therefore then be worse than he is. Like, if you can't just murder someone with wanton abandon,
right? And these are like, and like one of them is the kidnapper, right? But like the other people are just sort of random strangers who are like, delightfully kicking the shit out of him until his death.
Yeah, I was so very, very lost as to why in God's name that's what they were going with. Like, okay, so he's going to get straight up murdered. I do like the addition of Serena Gordon, who plays the woman at the beginning of GoldenEye in the car with Pierce Brosnan, who's supposed to be his like therapist or something, because that was outside of Steve Coogan and Julia Sawaha, that's it for notable actors in the episode. Yeah. And it turns out that her character is technically as scummy as Steve Coogan's.
Yeah. This is just an episode of horrible people doing horrible things, which,
but with
can
no
be
payoff.
Good. You can make a Taxi Driver out of that, but Jesus, this ain't Taxi Driver.
No, and the twist that it's actually his not girlfriend's kid at the end. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Also, what are the odds?
Like the size of this like discoloration on the child's back, which seemed to be in the shape of England, which I thought was really weird. But they as soon as they showed a close up of it, I'm like, oh, okay, so that'll be the final thing in the episode. And sure enough, it's her kid.
The last thing Steve Coogan sees before he's wantonly murdered in the middle of the park is his baby's ass. Okay.
Yeah.
What? And look, I mean, Steve Coogan's character in this episode is kind of a deplorable piece of shit, but at the same time, why are you gonna give us this moment? What is the point? By the way, though, this is the lowest rated episode of the entire series on IMDb. So,
well, geez, you know what? Like, there are worse.
Yeah, I think we're about to talk about one.
Oh, you think so?
I think so. Let's talk about Report from the Grave.
Greetings, Hackriculture fans. I'll be with you in a moment. I've just got to finish with the artichokes. Come on, Artie. Die already. Now, a little water and some fertilizer. And before you know it, I'll be harvesting my own little field of screams. You didn't know your pal, the Crypt Keeper, had a green thumb, did you? Well, I do. And the rest of me is pretty damn moldy, too. Which brings to mind tonight's tale. It's about a scientist who's a bit of a scarecropper himself. I call this one Report from the Grave.
So Report from the Grave Report from the Grave aired June 14th, 1996. It is written and directed by William Malone, not Father Malone. And it stars James Frain, Sibahan... Yeah, thank God for you. It stars James Frain and Sibahan Flynn as a couple... You know what? I was going to say it. I don't even want to talk about this episode. This episode's a piece of shit. This is worse than than Cold War. This is worse than The Kidnapper. This is worse than Horror in the Night. This is the worst episode of the show. Period. There's no way anything could be worse than this. Yeah. I didn't even understand what the point of the story was. They tell it in these really obtuse, bizarre, roundabout ways of getting to the point, and then at the end of the episode, shockingly, there is no fucking point.
Does seem that way.
The performances are so forgettable that it is the worst episode of this show that I have seen, and that is saying a lot. I'm not going to say it's surprising it's in the 7th season, but I had no idea what this episode was going for. And frankly, I don't think it did either.
Yeah, and it seemed to me the first episode where they did this particular thing, which became a thing because of this director who directed The House on Haunted Hill. The still body, but like the twitchety head kind of thing that the sort of like dominated early 2000s horror, where suddenly twitching things are terrifying in some way. I hated that. I like James Frain, the lead on it. He was on Gotham for a couple seasons, and he's now on Star Trek Discovery as Sarek, Spock's dad. He's really good in those. He did a good job in the episode for what he was given. But
what was he given though? That's the question.
Yeah, what was he
Nothing.
given? Not much. Like, it's a serial killer, but he is a cult leader, and he's saving all of these bodies for some reason, and this guy just so happened. My favorite thing, he creates this device that you can converse with the dead, and his first instinct is to seek out a fucking serial killer and experience his thoughts and memories. That's always. Oh,
and then also give it to his girlfriend. That's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. She sort of puts the helmet on, and he doses her with this serial killer. And then we get a bunch of ghostly goings on. It reminds me of the Horror in the Night episode we just talked about, where it's just sort of like a random assortment of images that are supposed to be disturbing, and none of them land at all. Which is hard to do. You got to figure there's got to be something they could do to make something either shocking or frightening or disturbing in some way, but. Yeah, not a lot hangs together. I found this more watchable than some of the recent episodes we've been seeing, but it
that in and of itself is surprising to me. I really thought you would have been coming down hard on this one.
Oh,
it's so scattershot. It's practically unintelligible. I'm that is saying something for a show where the last couple episodes have been complete wheel spinners. This is the ultimate wheel spinner. Tell me what the conclusion of this episode is, other than he kills himself for whatever reason. What reason? No
That's
idea.
True.
Characters in fiction have to have an internal logic. Otherwise, without an internal logic, characters can float through the air, jump up and down, and hit the ceiling. No gravity. They can stretch their arms 30 feet. There has to be a logic that dictates how stories and characters play out. And this episode shirks any of that and says, you like a straightforward story? We're not going to give it to you. You like character motivation? You're not going to know what it is. You like a villain? Well, he's there, but he's not there. And you like a conclusion that makes sense? Well, there isn't one. It's like the episode is going out of its way to do everything it can to upend typical storytelling conventions.
Yeah, like you just said, that you need all of those things just for any story. An after-school special needs to adhere to those. But when you start dabbling in the supernatural, then there becomes a whole other subset of rules that need to be adhered to and given to us in a concrete way, so we know what the parameters are. And this whole season, anytime they've dipped their toe into the supernatural pool, it's just been a grab bag of random weirdness for weirdness sake. It's like the entire run of American Horror Story. You ever seen that? You ever seen those gifs of people online where
they're jumping onto a frozen lake and they don't realize it's frozen or they just don't care. That's this season of the show. It is a fucking faceplant on a frozen lake. You say dip your toe in the supernatural aspect of the season. They are faceplanting repeatedly on frozen ice because they have no idea what they're doing. None. The supernatural stuff, how many supernatural episodes have we had this season? 2, 3? You could make the case that Horror in the Night is one. I guess 4 if you consider Last Respects, but again, so far it's been Report from the Grave, Cold War, Horror in the Night, and Last Respects. That's 4 episodes. We're 8 episodes in. And that's half of the season, and those episodes have been worse than even the ones that were bad on their own. The ones that were just bad in spite of the lack of supernatural.
Yeah, I mean, my main complaint last season was that they had strayed so far from the supernatural elements. As a fan of that type of story, I felt like I was getting short shrift, but if this is the kind of supernatural they want to traffic in from now on, then, you know what, just do all shock suspense stories and have criminals.
Yeah, by all means, stay away from the supernatural.
Yeah, I mean, definitely don't do this. Now, this was not based on Tales from the Crypt. This is a Vault of Horror 15, written by Al Feldstein and drawn by Jack Kamen. You want to talk about a liberal adaptation. The comic book story was a group of old men who get together to tell ghost stories to each other. One of their members has died, and they're going to initiate a new member who's been on the waiting list, I guess. You can only get in when somebody dies. But in order to fulfill his obligation to them, he has to do something they set him as a task, which is to go dig up the former member and bring something like a watch or something. Actually, it is his wristwatch, because his wristwatch was very particular. And one member objects vehemently to this as a task. Nevertheless, the guy goes and does it and returns and says there's nothing in that coffin. So they all go to investigate the cemetery, and the guy has dug in the wrong spot, but it turns out that one member of their group, the one who objected, was having an affair with the guy's wife and poisoned him. And the twist, not really a twist at all, but what happens is the grave of the guy who was buried is there, except he was buried without a coffin, and the ground above it breaks open as these guys are there, as if he's coming back to life. But it wasn't. It was gases from his body, like forcing their way out of the earth, and like that supernatural supposed element makes the guy who committed the crime confess to it. So it turned out there was not a whiff of supernatural in it at all, and they really should have stuck to that. Or, I mean, I don't think they should have done that story because it was dumb as well, but this is what they came up with instead. And you know what? Honestly, there's probably an interesting story in here. This idea of like talking with the dead, like, could have been mined for something really good. Unfortunately, it's just a grab bag of nonsense.
And again, it has absolutely no conclusion. The conclusion that a character kills themselves is a conclusion if there are stakes.
Right.
There aren't any.
No, there were no stakes at all.
It was barely intelligible storytelling to begin with.
And, you know, the other thing I want to point out is that I didn't notice till I sort of looked up the credits on it, but the dead serial killer is named Valdemar. And this is very similar to a Edgar Allan Poe short story called The Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar, where a man is hypnotized right before death, and then he's unable to go to the next world or remain living in ours. He's just sort of trapped there, which was adapted, I should point out, just a couple of years before this episode by George Romero for a movie called Two Evil Eyes, where I thought he did a really good job with it. So it's not even like William Malone read this short story or read the comic book and said, well, I don't want to do that. I have this idea for this other thing. I read the comic, I don't like it, and I'm just going to rip off something else. And not in any intelligible way possible. Because the Romero adaptation of it, the rules are obviously set, and it's structured, and it doesn't deviate, and the scares come because of it. In here, it's just like, oh, well, my visual storytelling of freaky images will be enough. They weren't enough. Watch House on Haunted Hill if you doubt it.
Yeah, but like, she came back for him.
Yeah. This season is exhausting.
That's not the word I would use. The word I would use is utter disappointment.
Yeah. I mean,
I understand. I 100% agree that it is exhausting, but I go one further, and this is just it's nightmarish. I mean, this season is just nightmarish. It is. You know what the scary thing about this season is? How fucking bad it is, and that's it.
Yeah. Man, how many more we got?
5.
Oh, that hurts. There's got to be something good, right?
Yeah.
Am I a sucker for always holding out hope that we're going to get a good one?
Well, that's the thing. There's got to be one. There has to be one. I would hope to God that there's one. Please, Lord Snoo, please, Crypt Keeper, give us one. Just one.
Just one.
Like, that's all I'm asking for.
Out of 13 episodes.
Yeah. I just want to tell our audience once, hey, by the way, this episode's worth listening, or this episode's worth watching. That's all I want. Is that hard?
I hate that they've put us into the position of decimating this show week after week.
Yeah, I do too, because again, I really like this show. This is a show that I return to regularly for reasons that aren't some sort of like mystery. This show has a lot of really good, fun episodes that deserve to be rewatched, like The Man Who Was Death, like Cutting Cards, like so many episodes of this show. And then you get to a season where it completely shits the bed.
Yeah, and we talked about this in the last episode. We've been talking about it all season, but like, the English can do short horror fiction really, really well. There's an entire subgenre of anthology films from the 1970s where, they're not all gold, but a lot of the stories are really good. And it feels especially disingenuous this season where they make the move to England, but then they keep all the writing. They're sort of in-house writers. Like, they didn't want to pay anyone to come up with a new thing. They just wanted those episodes to be made over there with their people. And I think maybe that injection of new blood could have been interesting. There were lots of up and coming filmmakers in England in the 90s that I'm sure would have jumped at the chance and given us something of interest, at least from an English point of view. These do feel like they're just sort of the bad American ones cloaked in England.
Where's Danny Boyle? Where are any British directors of note? I mean, it's not like the original seasons of the show didn't get directors of note for the episodes. I mean, they had well-known actors directing, and then all of a sudden it's just nope, we're just giving up. Just completely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know for certain, but I'm sure if they even offered it to Danny Boyle, he'd be like, "Well, this script is garbage," and like, I've got a career I'm working on here.
Yeah, I don't want to be lumped in with episodes like Cold War and other nightmarish pieces of garbage that don't deserve to be called Tales from the Crypt. I mean, that's the other thing, right? I mean, it's really hard to even consider these episodes Tales from the Crypt episodes. It's almost like we're watching another show.
Yeah, if you had given me this season and said this is a series called The Damned, it's a British anthology horror show, I'd be like, okay, and I would have no inkling that it was. And we have mentioned this before too, but it goes right down to the Crypt Keeper introductions and outros. Like, they have absolutely nothing to do with the story. Like, I rewatched And All Through the House last night, and like, the Crypt Keeper comes in and he's dressed as Santa Claus and he's making Christmas puns, and then we get a Christmas episode and then he makes more puns about Christmas at the end. It's all part and parcel. Here, a couple episodes ago, we had one where the Crypt Keeper is an astronaut for an episode that is about a ghostly hotel. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, but it's funny.
Jeez, man. Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Because he's doing weird. He's doing weird things. Isn't that funny?
And then, like, let's make the most tenuous connection here at the end. That's kind of like a guy in this story. He also is out of this world. Like, what? No.
Yeah, but like, you're missing the point though. Like, it's funny.
You know what? And I would overlook it if it were actually funny.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Like, ultimately at the end of the day, you can really, 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 really overlook a lot if it seems like you're trying. If it seems like you're putting your best foot forward. I love all kinds of things that are not quote unquote good. I love a lot of things, as do you, that, are failures, but they're at least trying. It's a successful failure. You know, they did something different. They tried.
If you entertain me, then I can overlook a lot. But
Yeah.
if you're unwilling to, like, at least make a move in that direction and expect me to overlook all of the other bullshit that you've decided doesn't matter, get the fuck out of here.
It's a shame.
Skip and skip.
It's a shame. It's a disappointment, and I yearn for the days of the man who was death.
Well, I think we were yearning for those days throughout every season, but what a nail in the coffin this is. We're not even gonna attempt to think about trying to give you that level of quality. We're just giving you whatever the fuck it comes into my head, and you'll like it because you're a fan of the show.
Well, and that's the other thing, right? It's this. It just feels like they are okay with giving up.
Yeah.
Right? Like they know that they've given up. They want you to know that they've given up, and that's it.
And you should give up too, I guess, is the message I'm getting from them. Even though it feels like worse than you should give up to. It doesn't feel like you should give up to. It's you'll take what you're given.
Right, because if they expected us to give up too, they probably never would have done what they did, which is make another season of the show to waste everyone's time.
Yeah, I mean, I hope everyone got a bunch of paychecks out of this, and were able to enjoy their lives a little, because that's the only benefit I can see from this season coming. I mean, the from this season in general. But yeah, skip hard, skip both these episodes, skip basically this entire season so far.
So on the second to last season-based episode of Chronicles from the Crypt, we're going to be talking about episodes 9 and 10, Smoke Rings, and About Face. And I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Father Malone, Smoke Rings has none other than Daniel Craig.
Ooh, well, let's see how they waste his talent. I've not seen either of these episodes.
We're guaranteed to find out.
And like I said, just like a sucker, I'm holding out hope. There's going to be a good one. There's going to be a gem. And what's crazy is it doesn't even have to be a gem. It just has to be competent at this point, and I will give it a pass or a watch. We went into this season with this idea, this statement, this notion that so many fans of the show really do not like this season, and that this season is not good. And I think the both of us were really hoping. Definitely.
Not praying, but hoping. Yeah, we were hoping that was maybe an overblown, maybe that's not reality. And then, no, that is 100% reality.
Truly.
So where can people find you, Father Malone, when you're not here?
Find me. I'm going to spend most of my time over at fathermalone.com. You can check out my radio drama podcast called Dark Destinations, where we investigate towns that don't exist. And you can also hear me over on Dreams for Sale, the Twilight Zone 85 podcast that Chris and I do with the Projection Booth's Mike White, where we look at the 1980s reboot of the Twilight Zone, which is, oh man, so much better than this.
I was about to say, literally anything is better than this. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at casualty_Chris. You can find the podcast on Twitter at ChroniclesFTC and on the internet at chroniclesfromthecrypt.com. We do not know what we are doing past the end of this season of the show, so if you have any ideas, keep them to yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Tweet at one of us. I know that there are fans of the show, and I have seen them on Facebook, and they listen to our podcast, so if there is something that you guys want us to cover, give us some ideas, because we are quickly approaching the terminus of this show, and we don't know what we're doing, if anything, so make a case for us to stick around, and if you don't, we're still going to anyways. Tough shit. And as always, big thanks to John Kassir for the intro to the podcast, and we'll catch you on the next episode.